I want to talk to John in Canada who has proof of God existing. I couldn't possibly not take this call. So please, John in Canada, tell me about your proof. You're live on Truth Wanted.
Proof of God exists is that it's you and me. We're here.
Please explain.
Well, the universe must have come from somewhere, and we are here. What better explanation is there? Plus, there's intelligent design. The fact that you and I are speaking right now is proof of
that. Okay, I'll ask you one question first, John. Have you looked into all other explanations and eliminated them?
Yes, I have.
Can you give me an example of some explanations that you eliminated?
Well, it can't be the Big Bang, because have you ever seen anything explode and then boom, something created?
Well, what do you think the Big Bang is? John, what do you think the Big Bang is? Describe the Big Bang to me.
It was an expanse of in space by matter and material or particles, something like that. Am I wrong?
Kinda.
A bunch of particles.
So let me ask you this. Is the Big Bang a definition of the origin of the universe? Is it an explanation for the origin of the universe?
Isn't that what you scientists and atheists believe?
No, it is not.
No, it's not, John.
Big Bang specifically refers to a state of expansion of space-time that occurred in the early part of the universe, the early microseconds or whatever of the universe.
John,
in the early life of the universe. It does not specify the origins. And part of that is the fact that according to Big Bang cosmology, we don't have access to information earlier than the Big Bang because we can't possibly get any information from it because of the density of the matter and energy that was there at the time. So all that Big Bang cosmology postulates is that previously there was a infinitesimally small universe that contained all of the matter and energy that currently exists, and that point, that infinitesimal point, expanded. That's all it talks about. It doesn't talk about where the universe came from, where all that matter and energy came from. For all that we know, it could have been there all along in some other state or in the same state. We don't know.
And you really think humans came from that, whatever it is you just spoke about? Doesn't make any sense.
I think humans originated through a natural process called evolution that occurred on planet Earth in many other forms, and probably occurred on other planets that exist out in the universe somewhere, and probably there are other sentient beings somewhere out there. I think the odds are pretty good for that. I think that this is a natural process.
Scientists have determined the chance of evolution happening on other planets is very slim.
That's not correct.
It is.
That is not correct.
Stephen Hawking said it.
What? Stephen Hawking did not say that. Look up the Drake equation, my friend.
John, I think the consensus is that because of the size of the universe, that there has to be life somewhere else, maybe in different stages of development compared to our planet. But have you ever heard of the whole notion of the Goldilocks zone, where if you have a planet that's... Hold on. Let me just explain this thought, and then you can tell us what you want to say. But the notion is that if planets are a certain distance from a star, similar to how our planet is in a certain distance from our sun, then the basics of life might be possible. So if you think about all of the, stars and galaxies out there, then the odds, and planets, then the odds are that there probably are other living beings somewhere else.
Who do you think put the Earth in that Goldilocks zone? That we're just right, we're at the right distance from the sun. We're not too hot. We're not.
Why would it have to been something to have put us there? What if it just happened from the expansion of the universe? Because if you think about it again, since there's so many planets, so many stars, so many galaxies, and odds are that some of them will end up in this configuration that we've ended up in.
It takes more faith to believe this all this happened all by itself than to believe in the supernatural forces.
Well,
John, are you reading from a book of quotes from like Ken Ham or something? Like, what is this crap? Like, this is not compelling discussion here. Like, have you not heard what's the guy who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Help me, somebody in the chat. Tell me. Someone's typing.
I've never read them, so I can't help you.
Douglas Adams. Thank you, Douglas Adams. So Douglas Adams' analogy of the puddle, right? The puddle looks around and says, oh, wow, look, this divot in the earth, it precisely fits my form. The form of my water, just it fits perfectly. And the puddle just marvels at how this exact, divot in the earth is designed. It must be designed specifically for that puddle, because how else would it fit so well? And it keeps thinking that until the sun evaporates it into nothingness. And the lesson here, the moral of the story, is that the puddle was not understanding that it is only existing because of those preconditions. This is the anthropic principle, John. We are here to ask these questions. We're here to ask the question of why we're here. How is it that we came to be here? Because we had the circumstances in which to evolve and in which to ask these questions. On Mars, on Neptune, on Titan, none of these environments were favorable for the development of life. And so obviously beings never developed with the ability to ask those questions. This is like kid stuff. You should go read The God Delusion. It's a pretty good primer that addresses a lot of these questions that you have.
Are you in favor of scientific investigation?
I have a PhD in biomedical engineering. I did nothing but science for 3 years. So yes.
So if we were to do a scientific investigation, let's say we do all that stuff, and let's say it does prove that God exists, would you accept that?
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
I would want to know all of the parameters, all of the details of those experiments. But yes, if something is proven scientifically, then I'll believe it, as long as I believe in the methods used.
Well, John, I would say, me speaking as an atheist, I don't know the answer to where the universe came from, what originated the universe. So my position on it right now is I don't know. We might find out later on in the future. We may never find out. And my question for you, John, is why is it important for you to know the answer to this question when we still don't know so much about the universe? There's still so much we don't understand. Why can't we just say we don't know, and let's do the scientific investigation? Let's keep searching. Let's keep learning, and then we might figure it out.
Because I want you to consider all the possibilities. God could be, or he might not be, but we shouldn't completely dismiss it.
So the scientific, you talked about scientific methods. The scientific approach is to assume the negative until proven otherwise. So if the hypothesis is God is the creator of the universe, the default is that we do not believe that until sufficient evidence is produced to confirm that, to validate that hypothesis, or to reject the null hypothesis in more specific statistical terms. You never confirm something, you just reject the alternative. You reject the null hypothesis. So you can't just propose a solution and say, well, you can't dismiss it because you don't have evidence for it. It's like, no. We dismiss all explanations that don't have evidence for them. That's the basis of the scientific method.
But you just said that you would accept such evidence for God.
I would accept, if you had scientific evidence for God, I would accept it. I would accept the conclusion if it was justified by the scientific results that you produced. But saying, like proposing God as a hypothesis is not the same as producing evidence to support that hypothesis.
Okay.
Yeah, John, I'm not necessarily opposed to there actually being a God who created the universe. Like, we're not sitting here going, no, like closing our eyes, shutting our ears, going, no, there's no God, there's no God. Why I stopped believing was because I didn't see the good evidence for God's existence. And just because I don't see the evidence right now doesn't mean that I've completely shut my mind off to the possibility of there being maybe some evidence. Who knows? But we have to see it first.
Right. Which is why we took this call where you said you had proof of God existing. We're here. We're asking, every week someone from the show is here asking for evidence of God's existence. We're not shut off to the possibility, but we're not going to believe it just because someone proposes it. You have to come with something that I can evaluate.
What about changed lives, gentlemen?
What about what?
Changed lives. People who embrace the Bible and they say their lives have been changed for the better.
Nah. People's lives change for a million reasons that are not divine. So this is a thing that actually I think is very important and poorly understood. There is the explanation for a phenomenon, and there is the explanation that people say is the cause for the phenomenon. And those two things are not the same. In my line of work, someone is sick, they get better. The explanation may be that they took antibiotics for their infection. They may think that the explanation is they said a prayer and took 20 vitamin C tabs and they got better. It's called a misattribution of causation. And if you misattribute the cause of an effect, just because you got the effect that you wanted to get using a method that you thought would get you there doesn't mean that thing that you did actually resulted in the effect. And that's the whole purpose of scientific experiments, is to figure out what the actual cause of an effect is. That's the whole point of randomized trials, of good experimental design. It's why doing a science degree takes so long, because it's hard stuff to learn and hard to put into practice.
Are you talking about a placebo effect? Is that what you just described?
No. I mean, that's perhaps one manifestation of it, but this is you could argue that the whole purpose of scientific method is to determine the causes of things.
You subscribe to panspermia.
What did you say?
I couldn't quite get that, yeah.
You subscribe to the idea that life came from alien beings.
Not necessarily.
Alien beings.
I don't know enough about that. I don't think that it's required. I think that the conditions on Earth, the explanation of what do you call it, like life originating on Earth, are sufficient to get us to where we are. I don't think you need panspermia.
Wait, John,
I haven't looked into the arguments in any depth.
MD Aware, you didn't see that Ridley Scott documentary, Prometheus? It's pretty good.
That's a movie, not a documentary.
I'm just making a joke, John. Just making a joke.
No joking on this show. Secular Spirit, this is a serious show.
Okay. All right. I'll remember that.
Okay, John, I mean, we're sort of starting to chase our tails a little bit here. So I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
But, I genuinely appreciate the call. We always want people who have a what they think is proof of God existing. And maybe I was a little bit rough with John, but it was also a bit of a weak argument.